When I say dynamic duo, what comes to your mind? Peanut butter and jelly, Batman and Robin, Twitter blue users and their inability to ever be funny? While all those options are technically true, there's been one duo that's been sweeping the nation this summer. Barbenheimer. Two completely different movies with one shared release date, July 21st, 2023. When the release dates of these movies were announced, the internet ate it up. Barbenheimer memes started to pop up left and right. Arguments about which movie would be better to watch in a double feature. Cillian Murphy talking about how he was going to go watch Barbie, and Margot Robbie talking about how the two are a perfect double bill. Rumors of a prolonged full nudity scene in Oppenheimer. That doesn't have anything to do with the two movies. I just thought it would be interesting to bring up. However, while everyone was talking about the dichotomy that is living in a Barbie world and leaving the world barbecued, there was one more event that was looming over the horizon. Or should I say looming from the horizon? That's right, we're trading in Oppenheimer for Olimar, Ken for Pikmin, Barbie for Bulborbs. Nintendo, during one of their directs, announced that Pikmin would also be releasing on July 21st. With the addition of our spacefaring botanist, the D-Day of excitement now covered almost every single demographic. Children and soft boys and girls would now be excited for their cozy little plant game. Teens and anyone who liked pink would be watching Barbie. And adults and insufferable people on Letterboxd could now watch Oppenheimer. So move over Barbenheimer and welcome in Barminheimer. While I wasn't extremely excited for any of the titles on this list, as July 21st started to get closer, I started to wonder, would you be able to finish Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Pikmin 4 all in the same day? And that's when it hit me. The Barbenheimer Challenge. In 24 hours, I would watch Barbie, beat the main story of Pikmin 4, and then cap it off with a showing of Oppenheimer. To add to the challenge, I streamed my entire run of Pikmin on Twitch and pre-bought the tickets, so I would have to beat the game by my evening showing. It would be a journey where I would have to fight against time and exhaustion, but it was one I was ready to take on. This is the Barbenheimer Challenge. Before I jump into the challenge, here are the rules that I was applying to myself. If you want to try and recreate it, you can do whatever you want, but these are just the ones I did. 1. It must be in the order of Barbie, Pikmin, and then Oppenheimer. I'll tell you the reason why at the end of the video if you're okay with spoilers. 2. The challenge starts as soon as the Barbie movie begins, not the showtime. I know, thank God for trailers, right? 3. Each segment is considered finished once the credits roll. That means that Oppenheimer has to be done by the 24-hour mark. 4. Tickets to the movies must be bought before the challenge. 5. You fail if you fall asleep during either of the movies. You are allowed to take naps though during the Pikmin section. And 6. This is an optional one. Dress to impress. With all these rules in my mind, I tried to find the best and most available tactics to try and finish this challenge successfully. Because of the third rule, I decided to look up the runtimes of both of the movies. According to Google, Oppenheimer was supposed to be around 3 hours long. That would mean whatever time I chose to watch Barbie, I would have to try and watch Oppenheimer 3 hours prior to that time the following day. But hopefully this wouldn't be too big of a deal. According to howlongtobeat.com, Pikmin 2 and 3 were supposed to be beaten in 11.5 hours and 13 hours respectively on average. So for the fourth game, unless there's a huge deviation, should be around that average playtime as well. As for the Barbie movie, everything online was saying that it was going to be an hour and a half long, which is perfect. An hour and a half long works great with my schedule. An hour and a half long. This is foreshadowing. I decided to get a ticket for Barbie on July 20th, 10:30 p.m. That way, with the movie being around an hour 30, I should be able to get back home around 12:30 a.m. in order to start my stream and play Pikmin. So with a 10:30 showing of Barbie, I needed to find a Oppenheimer showing that would be around 3 hours prior to that the following day. There was a 7 p.m. showing near me. However, I realized it was one of the 70mm showings, and the only tickets that were available were the ones that were literally inches away from the screen. And while I was excited for this movie, I wasn't trying to be in the splash zone of the explosion, and I didn't want to get thrown back several rows once the bomb dropped. So I decided to get a 6 p.m. IMAX showing in a different theater slightly further away. Now, something that I mentioned very briefly at the end of the rules was that I wanted to be dressed based off of each of the different titles. Before the challenge began, I decided to go to Nordstrom Rack so I could be dressed to the nines for my 10:30 showing of Barbie. I found a nice pair of extremely light-toned pink shorts, and I paired that with a button-down pink shirt I got from American Eagle last year as a gift. So I just got out of the Nordstrom Rack and I got these shorts. The lady at the counter asked me if I was going to see Barbie because they were pink, and she told me that people have been coming in all day buying pink clothes. So I'm not original. And with that, I had my fit ready for Barbie. It was around 4 hours before my showing, so I decided to try and take a nap because I knew that I had a long day ahead of me. While I was confident that Pikmin 4 wasn't going to take 20 hours, I still wanted to try and get some rest and potentially eat before Oppenheimer, so I was very nervous about taking too many breaks. It is currently 9 p.m. and I am trying to take a nap, but I ate right beforehand and my tummy hurts. So this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is not a good thing. This completely fucked over my sleep schedule, and I only had about an hour of sleep before I had to start getting ready for Barbie. My initial plan was to go see Barbie with friends so that we could all have a good time at this pastel-colored piece of cinema. However, because of the timing, my roommate was actually in the middle of doing a subathon on Twitch, and most of the other people that I knew were going to a charity show or, ironically, seeing Oppenheimer. So I ended up going to the showing all by myself, which I was fine with. I'm ready. I mean, yeah, I was a little sad that I had to do the first leg all by myself, but I had to persevere. Let's do this. But hey, it wasn't all bad. I almost saw a fight break out in the parking lot of the theater, which was kind of cool. I think I almost saw, okay, yep. I think I almost saw someone get into a fight while going to Barbie. As I walked into the theater, I saw droves of people all dressed pretty in pink, ready to watch the movie. And I couldn't help but smile and feel like that I was still part of a community, even though I came all by myself. Also, in line for the concessions, I saw something that I couldn't shoot down. Pink caramel popcorn that was inspired by Barbie. Now, I don't really like popcorn. I know, sue me, I just don't like how salty it is. But I knew that for this movie and for this challenge, I had to get my own. I ordered the bag of pink popcorn as well as a pink bubbly to match, and I walked towards my seat so that I could finally begin this challenge. Yeah! The trailers finished rolling and the party started. I know it's only been a few days since any of these have been released, so I'm going to try my best to do a spoiler-free review for every single leg of this journey. Barbie was a very good movie. Is it going to be a movie that's going to change the entire landscape of cinema as we know it? Probably not. However, it's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, and it is the pinnacle of what I would call a fun movie. Michael Cera was the unexpected GOAT of the movie, and the music was incredible, playing extremely well with both the story and the comedy. And of course, the outfits of both the men and women in the movie were absolutely amazing. It is rated PG-13, so don't be surprised that if you bring your kids, they'll have to listen to a lot of sexual jokes, as well as some themes that are much deeper than I thought they would be. Case in point, there's a scene in the movie that lasts for like a minute that's just purely masturbation jokes.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first. I will beach both of you off at the same time.
I will be honest, I almost cried at the end of the movie. It wrapped up with a beautiful message that even though I wasn't a big fan of the middle part, I know that it'll still be a solid movie to watch with friends, families, or even by yourself if you ever need a pick-me-up, which I definitely needed because I knew this was just the beginning of my challenge. So with all of that, Barbie was a 7.5 out of 10. Barbie was a party. I love the movie so much. However, as the time kept passing, I started to realize something. This movie was not an hour and a half long. I looked at the time at one point and I realized that the hour 30 mark had already passed, and it felt like the movie still had at least another 15 minutes going for it. I started to get a little antsy, but I tried to calm myself down at least until the end of the movie so I could at least enjoy what I was watching. When the credits did finally start rolling, I looked over at my timer and I saw that the movie was an hour and 47 minutes long. Now, I know that this was only an additional 17 minutes. However, those were 17 minutes that ate into my Pikmin playtime, which would also lead to taking away any time for a potential nap. However, I didn't really have that much time to worry about it because as I walked out of the theater, there was still excitement in the air and people buzzing around. The sense of community was overwhelming any anxiety that I potentially had, and it was magnificent. However, while it was refreshing, I still had to move on to the next leg of our challenge. I found my car, drove back home, and I got back to my apartment around 12:55, where I saw my roommate and a good friend of ours.
I spit, and my spit is pink.
He was actually able to tell me that Pikmin 4 should take me around 10 hours to complete based off a lifted embargo, so that actually gave me a lot of hope. I felt a second wind come over me, and I was ready to take on Pikmin with 18 hours until the bomb dropped. Literally. So, with a felt astronaut helmet made for 2-year-olds and a floral shirt, I went live on Twitch and started the second leg of the challenge. Before jumping into the game, I obviously had to start my stream off with a bang. Full disclosure, outside of the teaser, I didn't know what the gameplay for Pikmin 4 would look like. So when I was surprised with the chance to create and name a character, I knew who exactly I was going to name our protagonist after. First you have to... Wait, no, we have to make Oppenheimer. Why are you so big? So he's got very dead looking eyes. There we... Oh, that's Oppen eyes. That's Eimenhower's right there. Fuck. Oppenheimer. I had about 16 hours, which sounds like a long time, but I had to take into account that I was also streaming this at the same time, which means I could probably get distracted by chat.
Now I'm here to split you like 2 and 3 from 5.
That's such a good chat. That's a really good line actually, because obviously he's saying I'm splitting you as in like you. Uranium is you as well. The atomic number for uranium is 235, and 2 plus 3 equals 5, so separating 2 and 3 from 5, it has many layers. It's a good line. I promise I'm playing Pikmin underneath this. And while I started off the game very confident, as it continued going on, I started to get lost and confused. Small spoiler of the game, so if you're a diehard Pikmin fan, maybe skip this part. But the majority of the first part of the game is you looking for crew members of a ship that got wrecked while looking for Olimar, who also got in a shipwreck. The only way to continue the story is to find all of your lost shipmate friends. However, the hard part is that they get mixed in with a whole bunch of other just random citizens who also ended up on this planet. Maybe I shouldn't try in 100%, but the issue is I don't know where to look for. I also didn't learn this until much later in the game, but your faithful companion Ochi can actually help you find these missing crew members, which just goes to show you, having a dog helps you make friends. So, unintentionally, I almost 100%ed the first 2 levels of this game, trying to find these fucking twerps. And while I was having a good time, I just had this nagging feeling that I had to find all of these crew members as quickly as possible. It felt like forever, and by the 8-hour mark, I had just unlocked the 3rd area, which, according to my mod, meant that I was only done with 50% of the game. This couldn't be true. I started panicking and worrying that I wasn't going to make it. At this point, the sun was shining in the sky, but there was a metaphorical cloud that was in sight. A mushroom cloud that would potentially stop me from being able to meet my final goal. On top of all this, I was exhausted and I started to feel myself drifting off every now and then during stream. I was being driven by my goal to save all of my shipwrecked friends like Yanni, and I can't let Yanni down. In my exhausted state though, I started to see that a light was appearing at the end of this tunnel. After hours and hours of searching, I was finally able to find the final member of the crew, Bernard. This beautiful bastard finally showed his damn face and he unlocked a whole new world. Literally, the hero's hideout. After all this hard work, it finally seemed like we were in the endgame of the main story. All we needed to do was find Olimar. Being able to hit this giant milestone in game, I decided that this was the perfect time to try and take a nap. A quick rally, no longer than an hour and a half, so that I could be refreshed and relaxed to take on the rest of Pikmin 4. I was going to try and push through with this energy and get us to Oppenheimer on time. So I left my Twitch chat with their programs and I decided to take an hour and a half long nap.
Okay, I may have overslept.
Fuck, shit, no, this is not good. This is not good. Turns out my alarm got fucked up somehow and it didn't end up going off after an hour and a half. My 90-minute nap turned into a 120-minute nap. And while that doesn't seem like a lot now, in the moment, I was freaking out. That is 30 minutes of gameplay that I just lost and 30 minutes that I could have used to make sure we got to our movie on time at 6 p.m. I'd woken up around 12:30 p.m., so that meant I only had 5.5 hours to beat this game. So I had to think and play quick in order to make sure that we could reach our goal. And while I was freaked out, as soon as I had a chance to sit on my stream, I was ready. I was not gonna let a cute game about plants beat me. This little loser wasn't going to stop me from reaching my goal. Nay, my destiny.
We have about 5.5 hours. We've found all of the rescue corps. We have enough energy. All we have to do is rescue Olimar. I'm so fucking ready. Fuck him up, Pikmin. Oh, this guy's big. Oh, he's got a pussy, chat. Nice. Fuck him up, chat. We got him. We got the white guys. The white guys are toxic. Fuck him up, Pikmin. Fuck him up, Pikmin. Oh? Find the code of the bunker. 4 hours, chat. Oh my god. Purple Pikmin! Oh, they're big! I'm starting to lose my mind. Oh, it's the playing cards! We have to find the playing cards, chat. So, 5 of diamonds. Alrighty. 651, chat. We finally got it. Let's go. Huge. Oh, Olimar, or the Leafling, or whatever the fuck they're calling him. But we did it, chat. Oh, we did it! Ah!
So, there I had it. I found Olimar. Something that I hadn't mentioned to anybody during my challenge was that this was my first Pikmin game, and Pikmin 4 was incredible. The story was not what I expected it to be, and honestly, I loved it. The graphics were beautiful for the Switch, and I love the foreign yet familiar lens the game takes when looking at this world that seems to be Earth, but seen from the perspective of just a little guy. I mean, literally, he's like a very little guy. He's like very small. I will say that I ran into some headaches when it came to the Pikmin getting stuck in places, and anything related to Ochi was always a bit more complicated than I hoped for. But these tiny little flaws did not stop me from having a fantastic time playing through this game. With all that said, Pikmin 4 was an 8 out of 10, an out of this world game with some little issues. Get it? Flying off with Olimar back in our crew, I had a sense of accomplishment and excitement in me, and I was ready to take on the final challenge. Before that though, I had to end my stream off the same way I started it, with a bang. This time, a little bit more literally.
Gonna finally finish Barbenheimer.
I had about 2.5 hours before Oppenheimer would begin, and while I wish I could tell you that I took a nap before the showing, I didn't. I wasn't tired because I was still running off that high of beating the game, along with a coffee that I chugged about an hour before I ended because I didn't realize that I was that close to finishing the main story. And with a total of 3 hours of sleep, interspersed over the last 40 hours, I was a little scared that I wasn't going to get through this 3-hour-long movie. However, we are talking about the guy who made Dark Knight and Dunkirk, so I wasn't expecting this to be a boring movie at all, and hopefully this would be able to push me through any potential exhaustion.
I look like a Blues Brother. Oh my god!
However, that watch time was still daunting, and after beating Pikmin 4, I had this strange hole in me. In Pikmin 4, I had to find my crew, my friends, to help me overcome obstacles. While yes, I was able to get through Barbie alone, like the girl boss that I know I am, I didn't know if I could get through Oppenheimer all by myself with all these sleepless hours that I've had. So, instead of going into it alone, I decided to bring my own crew, my own Yanni and Bernard, my roommate Nee, and our friend Radstads. They were the other Barbies in my collection, the other shipwrecked crewmates, my own Manhattan project. With my friends by my side, I made it to the theater and walked into Oppenheimer, ready to finish out this challenge. Oppenheimer was breathtaking. A gorgeous movie that, while confusing at first, weaved the tale of a man who changed the world in multiple ways, for better and for worse. Cillian Murphy's performance is astonishing, and the directing is absolutely mind-blowing. Hell, even after staying up for countless hours at that point, I knew that I wanted to come back and watch the movie again. I am proud to say that Oppenheimer was a 9.5 out of 10. Destroyer of expectations. I knew that this was going to be a good movie, but not one that I thought would keep me enthralled for 3 whole hours. Yep, you heard me correctly. I did not fall asleep during Oppenheimer. I did it. The Barbenheimer challenge was done. I was able to live in the Barbie world, pull myself up from the ground in Pikmin 4, and walk away a new man from Oppenheimer. All in 22 hours, 25 minutes, and 49 seconds. After being able to reflect on my experience, I started to realize that the challenge was a reflection of the stories being told. Spoiler alert time if you don't want to have any spoilers of any of these titles. Many people asked me, why would I do this? Why would I try and experience all 3 of these things in 24 hours? Why torture myself with no sleep, no food, and very few breaks? And if I'm going to be completely honest, I wondered the same thing too. But after being able to experience it all, I can now tell that there is a reason behind this madness. The Barbie movie is about being human. Life isn't perfect. Barbie, at the end of the movie, has a choice to go back to her perfect imaginary lifestyle, but chooses not to after learning the knowledge of what it means to be human. Even with the fears of death, change, and cellulite, she chooses to give up a perfect life for a fulfilling life. Just because life isn't perfect doesn't mean that it isn't worth living, especially with those who taught her that meaning. Pikmin 4 continues on this message and shows us what happens if we lose our humanity. Olimar and many of the other citizens get turned into leaflings. They become these plant-like creatures and lose all their agency, and all they can focus on is Dandori, to live a life that is super organized, a life that perfectly uses your time. However, when Olimar is defeated by the player character, do you know what the first thing that he says is? It's not a chance to continue searching the universe or to learn more about the Pikmin. It's to see his wife and children. That's right, Olimar fucks. But more importantly, Olimar in Pikmin 4 shows us what it means to be human, and that is our drive to be with others, our love for others. And then finally, Oppenheimer shows us when we fail humanity. Oppenheimer is cursed by his knowledge and his decisions. While he did what he did because he thought they were the right decisions, the death and destruction that he brought to the world burdened him for the rest of his life. At the end, he even brings up that he was afraid that he would start a chain reaction that would destroy the world. And while it didn't physically destroy it, the knowledge that he released in the world, metaphorically, could. Oppenheimer, in his later years, advocated to stop the development of nuclear weapons, but it was too late. In his eyes, he failed humanity. However, despite that, he still fought to try and save it. Barbenheimer is a challenge not only for its excitement, but for its message. Humanity is beautiful, but fragile, and we should never let its shortcomings ever overshadow what it means to be human. Thanks for watching. Now, I'm gonna go sleep knowing that I covered every single big release that came out on July 21st. What the fuck is Shin Kamen Rider?
I didn't take it. No, can you pose again?